because of the Worldview Weekend Foundation. We don't lock our live stream behind PayPal. We don't restrict our content to members only. Instead, the Worldview Weekend Foundation helps cover the cost of delivering free educational and ministry programming to people across the nation and around the world. And it's not just programming. My Sunday night church service, where I taught verse by verse through Revelation for 18 months, and now I am teaching through the book of Daniel, is made possible through the support of our church, Worldview Weekend Foundation. If you believe this kind of truth-centered biblical teaching must continue, donate today. Go now to worldviewfoundation.com. You'll also find our mailing address and phone number there if you'd rather give by phone or mail. That's worldviewfoundation.com. Thank you.
Welcome to the 5th episode of Islam Questions and Answers. I am your host, Farrah Prudence from VoxPopuli.news.net, and with me is my forever amazing co-host, Miss Aynaz Anni Cyrus. On this episode, we're going to answer 3 questions. We're going to try and keep the time down, but we're also going to answer the questions as best as we can. These questions are more cultural questions, so it'll be a fun, different episode. Annie, are you ready to tackle some of these?
Oh, I am.
Awesome. Let's do it. First question. My son went to a high school where there were many Muslims. Most of the girls had hijabs on, but 99% of these girls had the snug Western jeans. Can you explain? It seems that Sharia Islam law is not real. Most people will say, well, the dress basically is the same and they act basically the same. That's your question, Annie.
Okay. Can I explain it? No. Can I come up with all the excuses I was taught? Yes, I can. So basically, one thing is, as we mentioned and covered on other episodes, in Quran, one other thing that is specifically mentioned is for the woman to wear the hijab down to their neck. Because that's very specific. So when it comes to the head cover, they basically do the head cover perfectly. All of them the same. They cover the entire thing. But then the rest of the body, at least I can say in Iran today, a lot of women you see, they wear tight, kind of tight jeans, a little shorter overcoat, just because as long as you're covered, you're covered. And as long as your, assets are not showing, you're good to go. So that's the part that they did find the loophole and they're kind of using it. But at the end of the day, if they were living in an Islamic country, they couldn't do that. See, one of the reasons me and Farrah constantly say, really, you want to walk around here and say I'm a Muslim woman who's free? Take a trip to Islamic countries and I say the same thing. Because a lot of laws here are protecting them from being harmed. Not completely, but in a way it is protecting them. So yes, they wear the headscarf just because it's very specifically mentioned in the Quran. But the rest of the body, as long as it's covered, as not showing the skin, they kind of get away with it. But I agree with the part you say Sharia law doesn't exist. I agree with that. It's a myth.
Go ahead. I've seen this in Syria and in Jordan, and again, these countries in the Levant, and it's been about 10 years since I've been there. Those countries are a lot more lenient, or they used to be a lot more lenient when it came to Islamic rule, even though it was a definite, it was a definite player in the culture and in the government. They just weren't like Iran. They didn't have the police that came after you if you didn't dress a certain way. Now it's different. I've seen videos where women are decapitated on the street for wearing the color red, and that makes me really sad. But it's exactly what Aynaz said. You see, when Islam, if you want to talk about the religious parts of Islam, like covering up for modesty, which it's not for modesty. And like Aynaz said, you can visit our previous episodes where we actually went into hijab in detail as to why it is getting worn, or why it gets worn, and what the symbolism of it is. But Allah said cover up. He didn't say be modest. He didn't say, don't try not to look super sexy. He didn't say any of that. He just said cover up. So technically, as long as you have a piece of cloth around you, you're covered up. And again, there's where you have the differences in modesty and morals in other religions, whereas Islam is legalistic because it's a law system. It is not a moral, ethical, religious system. The second question is, I was wondering if you would be kind enough to explain the real purpose of mosques, as they are the subject of much debate in Australia. We fight hard against the construction of every single one. Recently, a 15-year-old jihadist shot a policeman dead at the police station. He acquired the weapon minutes before from a nearby mosque. Also, once the mosque is established, crime stats increase markedly. Surprise, surprise.
Oh, sure.
What do you think?
So I normally say, if I was about to get one short answer, generalize everything, mosque is, when a mosque is built in any area, that area has been conquered by Islam. Sharia is there and it's going to rule. Now, sometimes in specific areas, there are actually, in Los Angeles, California, it happened. They built the mosque, an extra one, specifically for what I call a conference room. So basically the purpose of it is for all the leaders and all the soldiers to get together pretending they're going for prayer, but they're basically going for planning. And I made a video on that too, which actually, by the way, it turned out to be a huge backlash on myself, because it was a few days before the Paris attack, and a lot of people actually started saying, oh, you work with them, so you knew it's about to happen. I'm like, I do. They meet me in a dark alley, they hand me the envelope of money, and then I come and tell you what they're about to do. What the hell? But anyways, moving on. Some of the mosques are absolutely, and from my experience in Iran at least, the smaller and the more simple mosques are actually for those activities. For the actual prayer and also, ruling of the area, they make a fancy, big, the best they can. But if you come across a mosque that's just there to be there, I actually 100% strongly say it's an actual meeting area for terrorists. That's just my experience within Iran. Also in Turkey, in a way, I've seen a few of them when I was in Turkey, and in Pakistan, the same thing. So that's my explanation of mosque. And in any shape or form, I don't believe for a second a mosque is built because they want Muslims to go in there and pray. Because at least on the Shia side, I know that it is not any different. The prayer doesn't give you more or less if you're doing it alone or you're doing it with other people. It just doesn't matter. So there's no actual meaning behind, empowering your prayer or getting a better energy out of it or anything like that. No. All of them are basically just to show power. But I don't know what about you, Farrah?
I'm with you. I really can't add anything else to that. It's the same thing. When a mosque comes into an area, understand Sharia is officially there. Now, prior to a mosque coming into an area, I think this is something important. There is a mosque there before the mosque is actually built. They start with houses where they meet, and they do their prayers and their whatever else it is that they talk about in these meetings. And then from there, they go into plans into building a mosque. Now, a mosque is a symbol that Muslims are there and that this is their area and this is their culture. It's very important to remember that a lot of the mosques that you see in Europe, especially in Spain, were not mosques. Those were churches that were turned into mosques as a symbol of victory, as a symbol of we're here, we're taking over. So wherever you see them built, that's definitely something to look at and understand. Also, you have to understand that worship is not the primary use of a mosque. A mosque is a meeting place. In Arabic, there's another word There's a couple of words to describe mosque in Arabic. There's masjid, which means to kneel, and then there's mujamma, or jami', sorry. Jami' means the gatherer. It is important to know that Muhammad and a lot of his caliphate and a lot of his brethren did a lot of their military planning in the mosques. The mosques are a place for meeting for military, for laws to be issued, for judgments to be executed. It depends on the community, how Islamic it is. Like, for example, in Iraq right now, they don't need to execute judgments in mosques because they have the public square. But in places where they don't have a public square, if you and your wife are fighting, you're going to take her to the mosque. Well, if you do take her to the mosque, you're going to take her to the mosque, and then you're going to talk to the sheikh there. And then he's going to give you his judgment, and you may carry out there, you may carry it out in your house. But a mosque is not like a church at all. Do not equate a mosque to a church, to a synagogue, to, I don't know what other names there are. Those are not the same, period. But I don't live in an area where there's a mosque within probably a good 100 miles. And I find that awful noise that they make 5 times a day to be extremely disturbing. That's it. Do you live by a mosque? I doubt you do. No.
Oh, no.
Yeah, that's like actually part of my house checking list, because I bought my house, and in that area, I'm serious. You know how people say like 3 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms? Mine was, first thing, mosque. Muslim population. Okay, I go by minorities. Well, not really necessarily minorities, but wherever there's no huge multicultural system, that's where I feel the most comfortable. This is my life. Third question. I have been curious to know what the regular, not politicians or religious zealots folks in the Middle East think of regular Americans. Again, not politicians. What do you think can be done to help both groups of people to be more understanding and accepting of one another? So the first question is, how do they feel about American people in Iran?
Oh, I have answered that before a few times. Just normal people on the street who are not extremely involved with the government or extremely involved with Islam or any of that, they actually think of American people as cool. And the main reason for it actually is because they say Americans have cool music, and Iran has a huge history in music, so we're all like in love with music. So normal people have absolutely, not only they don't have anything against American people, but they actually love them. You see a lot of videos on YouTube where Americans went to Iran, to different cities, and they talk to people, and a lot of people gather and welcome there and, greet them with their, broken English, try their best to communicate with them. So yeah, they pretty much love them.
In the Middle East, in the rest of the Middle East, I can tell you that when I was a kid, of course, things are a lot different right now. You have to understand, ISIS is ruling that area. So even if you don't, in your heart, hate Americans or want to kill your Christian neighbor, you're still faced with the decision, it's my life or theirs. If you don't go with them, then you might as well be with the Christians and the non-Muslims and the Americans. So what's going on today is a completely different story than what I'm about to tell you. When I was a kid and I was in the Middle East, it was really cool to be American. People dressed like Americans. People used American products, McDonald's, KFC, Coca-Cola, Pepsi, all of that. You always had the actual real devout Muslims who, I don't know if you've ever heard this, Aynaz, but they used to say, boycott Pepsi, because Pepsi means pay every penny to support Israel. They used to actually put this out in schools, and I used to laugh about it, but now that I think about it, there has been a movement for a very long time to push to support what ISIS is doing right now. Like my generation of people, I have cousins that are my age that are in the Middle East, are completely brainwashed right now. And they're not the people I sometimes maybe Facebook stalked them in the past to see if maybe I could talk to them. their Facebook is like filled with jihad bullcrap. And I'm like, wow, we used to dream about going to the States together and, living our lives and doing what we want to do for fun. But, that type of propaganda has been going around for a long time. Like I've said before in the past, America is an empire that has conquered without weapons because people actually want to be like us. They want to listen to our music and they want to have our freedoms, and they believe in our freedoms. They want to come to America. Listen to me. Every single member of ISIS who's not originally from Europe or the United States wants to come to America. This is the great contradiction. They want to come here. They want to enjoy what we have. They just want to ruin it.
Yeah, they want it Islamic.
Yes. It's like, oh, look at America. It's so great. Let's make it Islamic because it's worked so well for the crap holes we come from. That was a little overboard. Anyways, point is, this is something that my dad did. He was always like, I can't wait to go back to the West, and I love the West, and I love Americans, and he dressed like Americans. But he was also donating money to jihadis in Russia, and, to mosques and everything else, even though he never went and actually prayed in a mosque. But, except for occasionally, maybe on Eid. That's the holiday. Maybe on the Eid he showed up and prayed, but that's it.
Yes.
What?
So if you have that on Sunni, but in Shia side, here's when you say donated money to them, it's like if you die and you have a lot of prayer owed for whatever reason, you missed a lot of prayer or even a little bit of prayer, fasting, anything like that, your kids or whomever is left of you, I don't even, what's the word I know there's a word for it, but whatever. Anyways, people who are, your family, there's a calculation for it by today's money that they can actually pay as a zakat for those missing pieces, and you're forgiven. Now, in a real life, like when you're alive, if you miss going to mosque or doing your prayer, you can donate to the cause of Allah. And so maybe that's what your dad was doing, he was paying them. So
maybe. I've never heard of that before. I've never heard of that before, but maybe, I don't put it past them. I know that they do zakah on behalf of a dead person. But is it guaranteed that they will be forgiven? No. By the way, we should really discuss the torment in the grave. We should really discuss that. People will, jaw, floor, automatic. Nobody, just a small snippet of this, nobody's actually forgiven to the point of no punishment in Islam. The only person in the entire world who was ever allowed to skip over what is called the grave punishment, or actually it's called torture of the grave, is the literal translation of it, is Muhammad.
Oh, what a great one.
That's it. Everybody else has to go through the torture of the grave. Anyways, the second part of this question was, what do you think can be done to help both groups of people to be more understanding and accepting of one another?
Well, I go back to my same answer, education. One thing about, let's just compare Iran and America for a second, because I'll know. But so if you go to Iran, as I say, you talk to an Iranian person in Iran and say, describe an American man. They're going to say, they're cool. Okay, why are they cool? Well, they drink alcohol and they listen to music. Oh, is that why they're cool? Pretty much. They can't go beyond that because they don't know anything, just because the country is blocking every possible access to educate people about American culture. So since they don't know the culture, they go with what they see on movies. Oh, they carry a gun, they drink alcohol, and they listen to cool music. Now, you talk about American women, without a doubt, every single person is going to say, they're blonde. It's a hot thing. Okay, anything beyond that? No. So they need to be educated. Because here's how I started falling in love with American culture. When I got here, that's all I knew. Okay, Believe it or not, on my way here from Turkey, which was a long flight, I had to go from Turkey to Germany, from Germany to Miami. I had to stay there overnight and then fly to my original place, which, by the way, I went to Chicago. So that's where everything was issued. So with the entire time, here's what I'm thinking. I'm like 18 years and a couple of months. So I'm like, I need to save some money and go dye my hair blonde. That was it. That was all I could think of because I will fit in if I'm not blonde. And to this day, I actually never went blonde because it just doesn't work with the, skin color. But that was the mentality of me getting here. Now, educating myself, getting to know them, I forgot about that part completely. I started falling in love with everything else that I didn't know about, right? The compassion. There's a lot of compassion within American culture, and I love that because that's actually very close to our culture. Persian culture is all about loving, caring, compassion. You see, if that comparison was to be made between Americans and Iranians, they would easily start liking each other a lot more. And on the other hand, American people, I have started making a few videos about the actual original culture of Persia because, again, it just, I don't blame them, but today everybody's like, you Arab Iranians, uh, okay, can be. Well, we do have some mix, but, or you Muslim Iranians, no, no, no. But you see, education again. I actually realized a few days ago that apparently until the nuclear deal with Iran started, a lot of people here didn't know there is a Iran and then there's Iraq. They actually think it's the same thing. So that's again education. The more, and it's fun to learn other cultures. It's not. I mean, I'm not saying sit and read the Quran, torture your mind. Reading, culture. You can go on Google and Google Persia. There's a huge amount of research material there that you can just read and get to know the country, the culture, and all that. So I'm not gonna just I can keep going. I can keep going when it comes to that. But I would say the answer is education. We need to educate ourselves on all different cultures because it's not about religion. That question is not about religion. It's about culture. Now, because of Islamic government in Iran, they have to set everything about American culture. They have. But if anybody could educate themselves in the reality of it, then they could just ignore what government is telling them.
So, would you say with, let's talk about Iran exactly, with the Islamic rule on Iran, is there a way, and I want to use the exact words of the question, is there a way that Islamic Iran, Islamic Khomeini, that Khomeini could be more understanding and accepting of Americans in the West, or anybody who follows him in Iran, which is it's a good part of the population that is Islamic. Is there any way, without taking that Islam elephant out of the room, is there any way that Islamic Iran can accept and understand Western culture?
No. Reason. One, you can't take that Islamic elephant out of the room. As soon as you do that, you took Khomeini, and the brothers out. Because that's what they breed. They breed Islam. Secondly, every single aspect of Western culture goes against Sharia law. In Western culture, you are taught, you are raised to know that you respect women. In Sharia law, you grow up to know woman is a piece of property. You see? No, sadly, very sadly, not a possibility at all. We can't achieve that.
I'm gonna have to agree with you. There is no acceptance and understanding. Even on my side, I'm gonna talk about my side to begin with. There is no scenario, there is no way on earth, there's no way in heaven or in hell that there is any chance that I would be accepting of Islam. There's no way. There's no way that I could ever be in a room with a Muslim and say, I'm okay with everything you do. It's a moral handicap to do that. It's not like, okay, so I'm a devout Christian. Everybody knows this. It's not like putting me in a room with a Buddhist. I can disagree with them. I can disagree with the Buddhist, and we could still be like this. We could be like, everybody knows Aynaz. Nobody knows whatever she has going on with her faith or lack thereof. But her and I are like this. I can't be like this with a Muslim because I can't agree with them on what they believe in. It's morally and ethically degrading for me to say, oh, okay, y'all just go over there and do whatever you want to do, and I'll be here sitting happily, and we'll just be okay. It's not going to happen. So that's on my part. Definitely on their part, it's not going to happen. Because here's the thing. Like we said before, we just answered this question. They want everything that we have. But then when they find out how we have what we have, women's rights, children's rights, minorities' rights, like, okay, let's not call black people slaves. Like, how about that? Let's start with that. The Middle East, when I was 6 years old, I did one of these. I was just fresh out of the United States, and there's not a huge population of black people, and a Sudanese guy was walking across the street, and my aunt, my dad's sister, crossed the street from him so she doesn't have to walk on the same side. And I said, why do we cross the street? We need to be on the other side. And she said, in Arabic, she said, La abid ma bidna nimshi jambo, which means, no, if it's a slave, we're not going to walk next to him. And he's not a slave, but they still dub them slaves because it's part of the flipping thing of Islam. And again, it's not written anywhere that all blacks are slaves in Islam. No. But it's also not true that Islam banned slavery. Please understand this. Some of Islam's most prominent merchants traded in slaves. And they had Muslim slaves. So, no, I don't think there's any way we can accept it without Islam. If Islam is gone, then I think there would be a lot more harmony. I think that if people understood, like what Aynaz said, where they come from, what their culture is, what their heritage is, then I think everybody would be in a better boat and we could understand, because then the differences are just cultural. You just have different music, different food, different taste, different way of life. It's not ethical or moral. And that's where the tension and the problems come in, is the ethical and the moral questions. And we answered this in the last video, Aynaz, with the soldier that actually is facing a lot of problems right now with the military because he stood against the boy rape in Afghanistan. So how can you accept that? How can you be okay with it? Are you going to change your morals? Or are you going to wait until they change theirs?
Well, you see, just it's not about changing. I'm not about changing. But when it comes to Islam, it's not that you change your morals, it's you kiss them goodbye.
Yeah.
And I don't think anyone who has experienced Western life can ever get to that point. Don't get me wrong. Yes, I have actually had this argument that, oh, you generalize. No, we do have serial killers. Yes. We do have psychopaths. Yes. But numbers are not high. And secondly, they're not doing it because they were taught by culture. They're doing it because they were either born with some sort of cuckoo crazy up there, or they went through a tough life and they decided to turn into who they are. That's a difference. You know, in West, we do have robbers, we do have rapists, all of that exists. However, there are laws against them. So we are protected by our government. When in Islam, they are taught to do that, and victims are not actually victims. They're just going to do it. See, that's a part that people need, because I had this new argument coming my way that, well, we have rapists here too, well, we have robbers here too, da 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 da. I'm like, well, but you need to know the reason behind it. And if you're going to deny the fact that there are two hugely different reasons behind why Muslims are doing it than why Western people are doing it, then unfortunately, nothing I can explain that would change your mind. And unfortunately, you'll be the very first victim of Islam when they come to you. Because you're going to go into the same denial. You're going to sit in the same room and tell them, okay, you do what you do. Guess what? What they do is rape you and chop your head off. So you become the first victim.
You hit on something amazing, because it's true. A lot of people say, well, you know, ISIS is like the KKK. Stop. The stupid has to stop coming out of your mouth. ISIS is nothing like the KKK. Not that I agree with the KKK, but here's the thing. Our entire American society frowns upon the KKK. There is no way that the KKK could release a video that would go on national news, that would be broadcasted as an educational video, where a little KKK white, blue-eyed, blonde-haired child is stabbing a black doll, and that would be okay. There isn't. There's no way that that would be done in the middle of a schoolyard, and people would be taking pictures and saying, oh, look how cute little Tommy is, whatever the name is. There is a huge difference. We call the rapists and the psychopaths, and we lock them up in jail, or we put them in a mental ward. We don't celebrate them. We don't throw parties when our kid straps bombs on themselves and goes and blows something up. There's a huge difference. But, it's one of my friends sent me a picture of this white guy, because this is, whatever, he's white, and he's wearing the Palestinian little head drapey thing, and he's all pro-Palestine, and then he had on the back, listen to this, Aynaz, in the background of his picture for Facebook, he has all this writing in Arabic and English, and it says that California was named after Caliph from the Caliphate. Just when I thought that I've heard all of the stupid that could come out of people's mouths.
Don't ever think that.
California is Islamic because it comes from the word caliphate. Wow.
Just because it sounds the same, it doesn't mean the same.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You see, it goes back to what? Education. Educate yourself. Look at the spelling. Just because you can say it doesn't mean you know what it means.
It is education, and that's a huge part of it, because if I could ask anything of Westerners, even though I consider myself a Westerner, stop blaming yourself. You are not the root of all evil in the world. You did not cause chaos in the Middle East. It's been a crap hole for a long, long time. It's been wars for a very, very long time, long before America was even a thought. 1,400 years ago, the Muslims were still killing people, and America and England, and none of them had anything to do with it. None of them, period. So stop demonizing yourself, stop blaming yourself, and stop with the white guilt crap. It's getting old. Let them take responsibility for what they do. They're the people that are pulling their daughters out of schools. So they say they're not educated because the white man colonized. No. When the white man colonized, they built schools. They tried to get girls into schools. They built hospitals. Did they make a lot of mistakes? Yes, they did. But at the end of the day, Islam is to blame for the disaster that's in the Middle East. We've made mistakes as Americans. But again, terrorism is not our fault, because Muslims were hijacking our ships when we were just beginning to be a country. They were, the Muslim Somali pirates were here 300 years ago, before we were even a country. I don't know, but Iran was a beautiful, huge, massive empire that excelled in music and food and culture, and yeah, they did a lot of wars, but it was an amazing, amazing empire before Islam came over and took over. And very recently, actually, up until the Shah, when you had the Shah in Iran, correct me if I'm wrong, Aynaz, people were pretty free to dress the way they want, go to school. You had women in colleges, right?
Well, yeah, but one thing about our history that a lot of people, I'm sure, don't know is at some point before Reza Shah Pahlavi Shah, there was a time when one of the kings in Iran stopped and said, I am banning Sharia in my country. Yes, people. Sharia was banned in Iran.
Wow.
They would walk on the street. The police was allowed to pull the hijab off people's head. They could not complain. The law said by then, he said, the king said, anyone who likes to practice Islam is going to be home arrested. You're going to stay in your home until you realize this is not something you want to promote on my streets. You come out with your hijab will be removed by my officers. You try to build a mosque, I will take it down and rebuild it into a school.
Wow.
Exactly. And still, they did find their way back. 37 years ago, they found their way back. See, that's again, it goes back to me sounding like a broken record. Education, education, education. A lot of people say, well, Iran was Islamic, 1400 years ago. No. There has been many times that Iran took back their culture, their country, but they just won't let go. They attack back, attack back, attack. This time, well, we had, 37 years ago. Unfortunately, this time they're not going anywhere. Nobody can handle them. But the point is, yes, we did have a king who banned Sharia in Iran. Yeah, but you see, again, the problem is history. They're trying so hard to erase history.
Oh yes, of course. That's why they burn down libraries and destroy priceless architecture and priceless art and priceless monuments. That's what they do. They go in and they destroy it. I mean, they burned down the library in one of the libraries in Iraq that was almost 2,000 years old. Can you imagine the amount of history and culture and that's just lost forever?
But do you know why they do that? Everything about Islam is lies. They have to get rid of any proof before they can go into he said, he said.
Of course, wait, I don't know if you know the story, but do you know, my goodness, it was somewhere in India, I believe, where the Muslims went in and they, after, of course, they raped all the virgins in the Buddhist and Hindu temples and then locked them into the temples and burned the temples down with them in them. They went to burn the library. One of the soldiers told the commander, he said, you want us to burn this entire library? He said, yeah. If it's in the Quran, if it's true, then it'll be in the Quran. If it's not true, then we don't need it anyways. Like just simply and they burned it down. If it's true, it'll be in the Quran, so we don't need the books. If it's not true, we don't need the books anyways. And guess what? Those people that died and got killed and got genocide that took place, they didn't get to rewrite their history. So that's lost to the world forever. And that's happening in the Middle East right now. Whether or not Barack Hussein Obama wants to admit that it is genocide of Christians and other minorities in that region, that is what's going on. Entire histories are being wiped out. So again, we can go on about this forever, and we kind of moved away from what the question was, but there's no way that I can accept that. And there's a reason that we are talking about this, Aynaz and I, is because we rejected it. We rejected that idea. Islam is not a religion, so it's not part of your religious freedoms. It is in any aspect, in this one aspect, it is like the KKK. It should be illegal. They should have to run and hide. And then we should have to get them, educate them, and reintroduce them into what is called humanity. Decency, compassion, love for life, love for God, love for not God, whatever you want to do with that. But live and let live. Live and let live is a good way to go. Islam, there's no live and let live. There's live and kill. None of that. Well, This has been quite the episode. Every time I think it's going to be a nice, simple, short, and sweet episode, Aynaz and I get to talking, and then it's, oh, did you know this, and did you know that, and did you hear this, and did you hear that? Hopefully you guys feel the same way, and you enjoy our talks as much as we enjoy our talks. Believe it or not, we talk way before the video starts, and way before it finishes. And we never discuss the questions before we put them on here. So all of our talks are completely separate from what goes on over here. We absolutely love doing these videos, and we could use all the help that we can get. So if you can donate your time, if you could donate your talent, if you can volunteer some of your resources, whether that's monetary or otherwise, please do so. You can go to voxpopuli.news.net. It is right here, voxpopuli.news.net, or you can go to the Live Up to Freedom site that Aynaz has, and you can donate through PayPal. Unfortunately, listen, we are not a 501c3, but Aynaz has some kick-ass stuff on her website. I love the t-shirts, hoodies, everything and anything you could possibly like. I love the blue t-shirt that has the Star of David, I wonder why, and it has Jewish Lives Matter. Absolutely love that. I think she actually just made it for me, but I'm gonna keep that to myself. Don't deny it, Aynaz. I love that t-shirt. It's beautiful. But anyways, check it out. The stuff is super cool. The link is right here. I'm also gonna put a link in the description so you can just click on it. So just click and shop. These make amazing gifts. The hoodies are super nice, and you can give them for Mother's Day, Father's Day, anniversaries, just because you love your neighbor, and find a liberal and give them a gift. Give them the gift of one of Aynaz's stuff. Thank you so much for being with us today, and we are going to release all of our episodes, by the way, on Fridays at 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Every Friday, 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Be sure to check voxpopuli.news.net and go to our YouTube page, and you will find our episodes. Thank you so much, and have a good night. Welcome to the 6th episode of Islam Questions and Answers on voxpopuli.news.net. I am your host, Farrah Prudence, with my beautiful co-host, Aynaz Anni Cyrus. And today we are going to answer a few questions that we got from our viewers. You guys sent these to submissions at voxpopuli.news.net, or you sent them to me on Facebook or Aynaz on Facebook. We put them all together and we mix them up and we take them from there. For the first question today, I'm going to read it. It's going to be an interesting answer. Can you give a percentage of Muslims that follow the Quran and do the atrocities such as vaginal mutilation, facial mutilation on women, young boys as dance sex slaves, sexual abuse on girls, new wives before first menstrual cycle? I have been doing a lot of research on all of this, and I just want something that I can give as proof to all of those out there who are calling me a racist, a bigot, a hate monger, that what I have learned and put out there for them to learn to protect their families is true. Thank you, and I'm so happy that you were able to escape and live. That is quite the question. When it comes to me, because my answer is going to be super short for this, I don't have a percentage. I'm no longer in that community. I don't know. But here's what I do know, is that whatever happens does not get put out in the media. It's not like they take a census and they're like, oh, well, how many daughters do you have? I have 4 daughters. How many daughters have you performed FGM on? That's female genital mutilation. Oh, I did it for 3 of my daughters. Okay, well, we're going to put down that as percentage. It's just not. And usually in the Muslim communities, everything is very hush-hush, very to the family. Keep it secret. You don't talk about that. I know in other episodes I said that a Muslim's honor is between the thighs of his women. So that's part of the honor system. They don't talk about it. As far as people, and it is very prevalent the more, to me, in my experience and what I have seen, the more poor you get, the wider spread it is. So when you're talking about the more poor communities within Muslim communities, that's where you'll really find it to be widespread. But in terms of acid throwings on the face, that happens everywhere. It's random. They'll go out to the mall, for example, in Jordan, it's happened where they'll go out to the mall, and if a girl's not dressed appropriately, they'll throw acid in her face. And it's not necessarily the family that does that. It's just random people. But you will never, ever, ever be able to get any kind of proof that will stop people from calling you a bigot or hateful or a racist, because people have told me those names and I've lived it. And they've even gone as far as to say, even Muslims say, oh, well, you don't know how to pronounce the word Quran, because I know how to say Quran and Quran. I'm truly bilingual. They tell me that I'm actually not from the Middle East and I've never lived it before, and what I'm saying is not the truth. Or my favorite, I know you know this one, Aynaz, you've just had a bad experience. But you will never be able to get people to stop saying that. All you have to do is all I would advise you to do is keep telling the truth, make sure everything is well researched, make sure you have all of the references, and if somebody calls you a bigot, pass them on. Tell the news and pass on and move on. Arguing with people is not going to get you anywhere. If people have convinced themselves, like Ben Affleck, that Islam is all rainbow farts and fairy dust, that's just what they're going to believe. There's no way you can change that. And hopefully they don't get real life experience to change them, but that's the only thing that will. What do you think, Aynaz?
Well, yeah, I would probably have the same short answer, I guess. There is no percentage. But what I would say is what a good friend of mine always says. I'm stealing this phrase from him, but it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what's the percentage. The point is, if you have a bowl of M&M, and I tell you there are 10 of them poisonous, go and help yourself. It's not about the actual number. When you hear one case, we hear way more than one, but if you hear one case, that should be enough for you to want to get up, stand up, take action, do something about it. Percentage doesn't exist. In Iran, the female genital mutilation doesn't take place as much as Afghanistan, Pakistan, or Africa, but the acid throwing on the face happens a lot, and I mean a lot. Reasons, yes, on the street, Sepah, which is one of the police groups, if you're not wearing what you should be, or you're not proper, or you have a makeup, that will happen. The other reason is that if a woman can find a way, a loophole in system to get a divorce, in retaliation, the man's family will find you. I have posted a video of 2 different cases in Iran recently. That was the case. She managed to get a divorce, and the reward for it was, disfigure her face. So no, I don't have percentage either, but I can tell you, I agree with you, Farrah. There's no point of arguing. I always get questioned that, oh, you don't understand anybody else's opinion. You just keep blocking people on your face. Yeah, exactly. If I wanted your opinion, I would have come and asked you. I'm here to educate, not to be educated. I have enough education, and yeah, I don't have few bad experiences. No, I lived it. Luckily, I didn't get as far as getting my face disfigured, but the rest happened. So you don't have to argue with people. If you know the truth, just keep telling it. Even if you can get one person to listen to you and start studying the Islam and the Quran, that's good enough. And I always say, I don't care. Actually, the more I get called names, I feel that I'm doing better.
Thank you. The second question is, I'm wondering if Muslims are against Easter and Christians and hate everything that they stand for, why do they impose their halal tax on Easter eggs and Christmas candy stockings? Is that, not sure where halal tax gets imposed on these things, but even if a country is a Muslim country and you have the Christians who are paying the jizya or not yet paying the jizya, like I'll go back to Jordan because that's a country that I've lived in. I'm not sure how that or where that question comes from because there isn't halal tax. I guess they can make halal stuff and sell it, and then there's the halal tax that they can put on it. But what do you think, Aynaz?
No, I'm not sure where the question comes from either, but I do have this answer that halal is not something by Quran, as I said before. Nowhere in Quran will you see that Allah said you have to eat halal. No, it does say clean. It does say if you got it by the agreement, if you didn't steal it, but there's no actually. I'm about to do a video on that one, which I'm guessing my head's gonna go off for that one. But there are only 4 verses in Quran where it is a talk of what you could or could not eat, and in none of them does it mention anything about how to kill your animal or how to do the halal. None of that is mentioned. It's all a business. It's all a business. Muhammad, when Anni, the Imam of Shia, which was his son-in-law back then, he opened a slaughterhouse. How do we get people to buy the meat? We come up with the word halal. The meat has to be halal. It was all started. So therefore, because it's just a business aspect, even if there is such a thing as halal tax, it's a business. It's going to go anywhere it can go. If they can collect, they will collect. Simple as that.
That's right. I had, growing up, I knew what halal food was, and that was fine. But then I got some links that somebody sent me to halal makeup and halal clothing. And I was looking at it, and I was like, there are some Muslims out there. There's got to be some Muslims out there that are looking at this and being like, what a bunch of crap. That's what they're looking at it and saying. Because there's nothing even in Sunnah that I have found, and I've looked into it, not a lot. There's nothing in Sunnah that says halal makeup and halal clothing. This is all just a fad. They're just trying, like Aynaz said, to make more money. All that halal means is that it's killed in a certain way for Allah. The head of the animal has to be in a certain direction. They have to kill it with the knife, and it has to slice the throat. It's actually quite inhumane because the animal is still alive through the entire thing. It's pretty disgusting, but so that's what halal means. There is no such thing as halal tax, not in Islamic doctrine. There is a tax, and then there's your zakah, which is your charity that you give away. That's about it. Anything else coming up with that, it's just crap to get more money. Now here's the thing. When it comes to Christmas and Easter, Muslims will often say, they won't say Merry Christmas, but they'll say, I wish you the best. Or, I hope you, have a great time, or something like that. The reason being, and we can put in the link to a video down here if I can find the English translation of it, they can't actually say the word Christmas, meaning in a congratulatory term, because then they admit that there was a Christ, and that goes against what they believe. And what they can say is, I wish you the best, because in their hearts, that means I wish you become a Muslim. Because to them, that's what I wish you the best means. But they can't say Merry Christmas because they become heretics in their religion. Now, if they're using taqiyya, they can use Merry Christmas. Okay, got your head? Done with that one. Okay, the third one. What is the caliphate business? Are there many caliphates or just one caliphate? Do all Muslims have to be subject to the caliphate? What does a caliphate do? Is he like the Pope? Let's start with the first one. What is a caliphate? Aynaz, you and I have talked about this before. This is how Islam got divided in the beginning. The word is khalifa in Arabic, and it refers to somebody who takes over. Min al-khilafa, who takes over after you. So, like, for example, if my great-grandmother was the matriarch, her khalifa, the person who takes after her to become the matriarch, is my grandmother. So that would be a real-life example. But the Islamic khilafah is those who came after Muhammad. Once Muhammad died, who was going to come after him to rule the Islamic nation? Because Islam is a political system. You don't have a nationality once you're a Muslim. You're a Muslim, you're under the Islamic nation, al-Ummah. I know you guys use al-Ummah too, right? Or not you guys. Shia use al-Ummah too, right, Aynaz?
Yes.
Okay. What does that cover it? Do the Shia have a different meaning for a Khalifa?
Oh no, it's pretty much the same. It's the leader who will take power after the last Khalifa or Khalif, as they say here. Whomever is going to become the leader. Now, yeah, exactly. The problem starts between Shia and Sunni was Shia think Ali was the one, and Sunni go with Abu Bakr or Abu Bakr.
Go back to our previous episodes. We actually went into it in depth, and we talked about how it happened. The next question in that question is: are there many caliphates or just one caliphate?
There are many today. There are way too many, actually. That's actually the fight in Middle East right now. The Muslim killing each other is actually because of the different caliphate.
And this happened. It has been happening perpetually. At some point, the Shia went off with their own Khalifa. The Sunnis went off with their own Khalifa. At some point, even within the Sunni dynasty, I guess, there were several Khalifas or caliphates in the region, and that was one of the causes of the death of the Islamic nation or the Islamic empire. And just in case you don't know about this wasn't too long ago. The last of the caliphate was in the 1920s. So it hasn't been that long. It's not like this is ancient history. This is pretty recent in the history of humanity. Plus, of course, you have all of the underground stuff that was going on. There should be, in their utopian Islamic society, there should only be one Khalifa. It's very important that you understand. That's why because they want to have just one Khalifa that rules the entire nation. Next, do all Muslims have to be subject to the caliphate? Yes.
Don't even think about it.
Yes. You don't have to, but, would you like to take your next breath? But you have a choice. It's just a bad choice. What do you think?
You don't have a choice, actually. Yeah, you do. Between bad and worse.
Yeah. So, it's like, I love it when they say, Muhammad gave Safiya, who was a Jewish woman from Khaybar, anyways, he gave her a choice. She was taken as a sex slave from a Jewish tribe, and he gave her a choice. He said, you can remain a sex slave and go with the other man, or you can become a Muslim and marry me. That's supposed to be a choice. Okay. After he just killed her dad and her husband. But, he's giving her a choice. Such an amazing man. Anyways, next question. What does a caliphate do? Is he like the Pope? What do you think, Aynaz?
No. Well, what? I normally use this example. I'm pretty sure by now everybody's familiar with Ayatollah Khamenei, or they say here Khamenei, the supreme leader of Islamic Republic of Iran. He's in a way the Khalifa. He makes all the decisions for the country. He says, kill that woman, don't kill that one, hang that one, stone this one. That's what a Khalifa does. He will decide the ruling. He will decide the laws. He will decide your life. He will decide your fate. So he's basically the dictator. I think it's a word in English, right? Dictator. However, in another term that we in the Iranian community call a Khalifa is, we also call him the angel of death. Because Israel, exactly. That's what we call him. because in any second, just like Allah, a Khalifa can change his mind on a rule and flip it, and you be dead. And he has the ultimate power. No one can override him. No one. In Iran, there was a case of adultery. The court, the judge, decided that it wasn't proof. There wasn't enough proof. So they sentenced her to 25 years in prison. So we won't kill you because we can't prove that you committed adultery. But because you were accused and we don't want to let down our Muslim brother, we put you in jail for 25 years. The man, the husband who accused her, went all the way to Supreme Leader, presented him with the evidence, and Supreme Leader issued a stoning on her head. A week later, she was dead.
Wow.
So that's how Khalifa is within Shia industry.
The Khalifa, the Caliphate, is nothing like the Pope. And yes, I know what all those anti-Catholic people are saying right now. The Pope acted the exact same way as Khomeini at one point. Yes, I know. I know all about the witch trials. I know all about the Inquisition. I know all about those awful, awful things the Catholic Church did. And I'm not saying that they weren't, or that they were correct, because they weren't. However, by Christian doctrine, the Pope, or by Catholic doctrine, the Pope should not be a political leader. He is not in a position to be a political leader. He is supposed to be a representative of God on earth, like Jesus was, and kind of like following in the footsteps of Jesus. And I could be wrong, but feel free to send me the verse where Jesus stoned a woman. Like, that would be really helpful. Or if you could send me the verse where Jesus led an army against someone. Or the verse where Jesus said, if somebody leaves Christianity, off with their heads. That would be nice. If you don't have that, shut up. Don't leave me a comment. Go read a book or get some counseling, okay? Let's figure that out first. Second of all, the Caliphate is a supreme leader. He is God on earth. To a certain extent. He is, like what Aynaz said, Azrael, or the angel of death. He is God on earth. He has all of the power to take life. He has a political power, a religious power, a social power. Aynaz, you had talked before about those books that Khomeini used to put out for the new religious and other social, like how you're supposed to do things, and basically it's a standard of procedure, right?
Pretty much. After Khomeini died and Khamenei took power, became the new caliph, he rewrote that book.
Okay, so that's what happens. Now with the new Khalifa comes the new ruling of whatever they want to do, that's what happens. The problem is with the first caliphate, and it hurts so much when I say in the first caliphate, because I never thought there would be a second. I thought the world had learned its lesson, but apparently not. With the first caliphate, it kind of burned out due to extreme corruption. You had like Harun al-Rashid was a Khalifa, a Sunni Khalifa, and he had thousands of concubines and lots of corruption going on. Not that it was a halal for him, not that it wasn't okay for him to do that, but at the same time, he stopped being so much a political leader and got consumed with all of his life luxuries. And then, of course, the Ottomans and everything else that happened in the history of that region. But now we have a second caliphate, and apparently in Iran it never stopped. And now that's what we're dealing with. And all they have to do is do a mubay'ah. And mubay'ah is where they pledge allegiance to the caliphate. And once he has enough people around him, then that's it. He takes over and you become the nation of Islam. No longer do you have borders and countries and a national identity. Now everybody speaks Arabic. And now everybody has to follow Islamic doctrine, and you have Islamic political rule all over. And that's what happens. It's ISIS. ISIS is the child of Islam. It is the fruit, poisonous fruit. But you know, some of these episodes are kind of depressing. I have to say, it takes quite a bit to sit down here and talk about it, and people are never going to really accept what we have to say unless they do their research and have an understanding of it and stop looking at it as we are being bigots because bigotry is not accepting somebody else's point of view. And I guess by definition I am a bigot. I'm sorry. I'm not willing to accept somebody else seeing that it's okay to perform FGM on their daughters. What about you, Aynaz? Are you okay being called a bigot?
Oh, I am. I told you, I'm very proudly. Even when I'm called a racist, I just love it when they call me a racist. I'm like, how can a Persian be a racist towards Iran? Okay, but quick note, because I kind of started to realize that a lot of people don't know the actual meaning behind fatwa or fatwa. And they think as soon as you say fatwa, that means somebody's going to kill you. No, the fatwa is the ruling of the sheikh or the imam or the caliph. Fatwa is the bill. It's the law. It's the ruling. Now, that fatwa could be your death. But fatwa does not mean a threat on your life. No, it's just a ruling. And just to expand a little on when I was explaining about Khamenei in Iran, the new fatwa came out about a year ago, where he said, well, I studied Islam, I talked to Muhammad on my dreams, because by the way, Khamenei do that too. I don't know if you know or not, but he dreams, and in his dream he talked to Muhammad, and he comes back and gives laws. And it became legal in Iran that if a man wants to marry a woman who has a daughter, and the daughter is under age of 18, the man can marry them both in order to be halal to both of them, in order to move into the same house. A supreme leader of a country in 2015 issued such a fatwa or such a ruling. So yeah, as you were saying, this is not, 1400 years ago. No, this is last year, where in order to make it easy for a man to marry a woman with a child, go ahead and marry them both. The woman becomes a permanent wife, the daughter becomes a rental wife until she grows to adult age, when, in order for her to be able to walk around the house without the hijab or covering herself, and if you sometimes feel like touchy with her too, you can just temporary marriage is allowed. That's what a khalifa does.
So disgusting on so
They
many
make it
different
easy
levels.
for a man to be a pedophile.
And that's all it is. It's, you look at Islam, they're so consumed with sex. It's amazing. They hate us because they say that we're sexual, but they themselves are consumed up and down with sex and incest and other disgusting stuff. The fatwa, like Aynaz said, it's not different in Sunnis. The fatwa is a ruling. Now, if somebody says you have a fatwa on you or against you, yes, run. Start running. Because that means it's this pretty little place right here. But other than that, it basically in Islam, it is very strict. There is no two ways about this, whether it's Sunni or Shi'a. If something has been, and you correct me if I'm wrong, if something has been ruled on by the Quran or by the Sunnah, not the Sunnis, the Sunnah is everything Muhammad said and did. If it has been ruled, if Muhammad said something, if Muhammad said the sky is red, there is no amount of Islamic scholars, no amount of caliphates that can change it. The sky is red. Okay? Now, if Muhammad didn't quite give sky is red or a sky is turquoise, then yes, the khalifas, the scholars can get together and they can say, here's the fatwa on what the color of the sky is. Right, Aynaz?
Exactly.
Yes. But if Muhammad, don't let somebody tell you that moderates can change it. You cannot change it. That is called tahrif. Tahrif is when you change anything in the Quran or in the Sunnah of Muhammad, and that is punishable by death. It is explicitly said in the Quran. It is explicitly said in the Sunnah. It cannot be changed. You have to follow Muhammad. And then when they actually make the fatwa, they can't go too off the rails with what Muhammad would have done, right? So if for example, Muhammad said that for adultery you get stoned to death or lashed to death, you can't say that if you just kind of flirt with a guy, then you just get a hit on your wrist. It has to be something close to the original, what would you say the word is? The original sin, maybe? The original wrong?
That's exactly how the ruling of Iran goes. If you're arrested on the street with a boy or a man, and you're not married or engaged here's a little different people need to know. In Iran, when you're engaged, you're basically married because they do the sirah. So until marriage, which is the permanent marriage, the engagement duration of time is also the temporary marriage or the rental marriage. So if you're not within that border, you will be punished by lashes. Now, it starts from 25. This is the minimum. You get 25 lashes if you were on the street in public, other people there. If you were arrested where it wasn't public or there were more than 5 people, witnesses around, it moves up to 45 lashes. Now, if you were arrested inside a closed area where nobody was witness, and the man says you didn't have any sexual intercourse, it goes to 95 lashes. Now, if a man stands there and says, or you were caught while having sex, then it's a stoning. See, but everything stays within the same border, exactly.
Yeah. So they could never, the fatwa on something like that could never be, oh, we will just forgive you.
No.
That'll never happen. So, that is how we are going to wrap up this lovely episode of Islam questions and answers. Aynaz, I want you to remind people, please, about your awesome show that I co-host every other week with you on Mondays, and so much fun. I love it.
I know. It is every Monday. The time is 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. They can find us on Blog Talk Radio /FPC 2015. And the link is always also on my Facebook, on your Facebook, also on liveuptofreedom.com or lutf.org. But it is every Monday, and actually this Monday you are going to be on.
I love it. And you can go to voxpopuli.news.net. I've been doing the daily Vox Shot with Anthony Chioza, and it's a lot of fun. And we've been trying to keep it to 15 minutes, and it keeps getting bigger and bigger and bigger. I'm thinking at some point we're going to have our own radio show. So you, Anthony, and I can all just go at it for like a couple hours a day, because we could easily do that every day. That's not a problem at all. But if you are looking for the other episodes from Islam Questions and Answers, go to voxpopuli.news.net. We're going to have the link right here. You're going to have the link to everything that Aynaz said sitting right here. Leave us a comment. Definitely, if you're going to be idiotic, do not leave a comment. Please refrain from leaving a comment because it will get deleted. And on my channel, I will delete it. You curse me out, you can do whatever you want. I won't delete it. But on the Islam Question and Answers, if you don't have anything of input, of importance, even if you're a Muslim and you want to leave something that says, here's the Quranic verses that says what you're saying is wrong, please do so. Tell me I'm wrong. But you probably won't. So, go to our YouTube channel. We also have a Facebook page that you can go to, Twitter. On my Twitter, I'm at Farrah for America, and you can donate. Please, if you can spare some change, throw it at us. You can find our PayPal tab on the right hand of the screen when you see this episode, and share, and share. Leave us your comments, and we'll see you next week.
Don't forget, we are now training Bible teachers. We're training people who maybe want to start a home church. But we're doing more than training people. And